on, is there anybody cooler than Flea? Now, if you are here to learn about one of the most influential bass players of all time, then you are in the right place. I'm going to hand you over to Jonathan Herrera, and he is going to take you through the life and career of the one and only Flea.
Born Michael Peter Balzary in Melbourne, Australia, Flea is arguably the world's most famous bass player. Never chasing trends, never making pop for popularity's sake, Flea has forged a singular career in the crucible of punk rock's anything goes ethos. Flea began his musical life on trumpet, idolizing greats like Miles Davis, Louis Armstrong, and Dizzy Gillespie. In fact, he still plays the instrument to this day. But it wasn't until a teenage Flea, now a student at Fairfax High School in LA, met Hillel Slovak, Jack Irons, and Anthony Kiedis that bass became his primary instrument. This motley crew of social outcasts found solace in the punk and funk rock of the day, and soon found themselves inspired to start bands of their own. Flea bounced through various bands, including Anthem, What Is This, Fear, and a one-off band called Tony Flo and the Miraculously Majestic Masters of Mayhem, before finally settling on a band whose name would stick, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The band's debut record, self-titled The Red Hot Chili Peppers, didn't make much of a splash, but listening to it now reveals the seeds of what would blossom into the band's revolutionary fusion of punk rock attitude, funk pocket, and irreverent mischief. It's their second album, though, 1985's Freaky Styley, that found the band beginning to hone their signature style. This was due in no small part to enlisting Parliament Funkadelic mastermind George Clinton for the producer role. Freaky Styley is a foundational record in funk rock, and this is due in large part to Flea's in-your-face, thumb-fueled approach to the bass.
It's got all the same energy, but it's just a whole different feel.
Just check him out on Jungle Man, and you'll see what I mean. Nobody sounded like that in those days. Red Hot Chili Peppers' next record, Uplift Mofo Party Plan, found the band finally breaking through into the mainstream, peaking at number 148 on the Billboard 200. It also further cemented Flea as perhaps the band's primary instrumental voice. Just check out his iconic intro to Me and My Friends and dig the intense energy and silky but aggressive, Music Man-fueled tone that would come to define the artist throughout his career. Yet, despite the band's success, the Uplift era would be marked by the sort of drug-related tragedy that would unfortunately be thematic throughout the band's rise. Founding member, guitarist Hillel Slovak, the guy that introduced Flea to rock and punk, would die of a heroin overdose in 1988. The fallout found the band disintegrating as members coped with the loss in their own ways. From the ashes of this tragedy, though, came the union of what would become perhaps the band's most successful lineup. Kiedis and Flea in their roles alongside new bandmates John Frusciante on guitar and Chad Smith on drums. Despite the tumultuous time, Red Hot Chili Peppers got back in the studio and soon released their most commercially successful record to date, Mother's Milk. There's a handful of stone-cold funk rock classics on the record, but perhaps none were more influential on bass players than their cover of Stevie Wonder's Higher Ground, with Flea slapping his way through Stevie's famed clavinet intro. This time also found Flea beginning a sideman career, playing trumpet on Jane's Addiction's hyper-influential Nothing Shocking record, and doling out one of early hip-hop's most bubbly bass lines on Young MC's Bust a Move.
Just bust a move.
Flea and Red Hot Chili Peppers' upward trajectory would accelerate greatly with the 1991 release of Blood Sugar Sex Magic, the album that solidified the band's now permanent position on the mainstream charts, peaking at number 3. For bass lovers, the record is an undeniable classic, with the neck-spanning slides of Give It Away and melodic counter-melodies of Under the Bridge being standouts. 1995 saw the release of One Hot Minute, which, while not quite as successful as its predecessor commercially, Flea began to really flex his sideman chops, playing on over 40 records from other artists between 1995 and 1998, including Alanis Morissette's seminal Jagged Little Pill and the solo debut of one of his heroes, DIY punk icon and bass legend Mike Watt. Red Hot Chili Peppers came roaring back to chart-topping success with Californication. Released in 1999, Flea's playing is somewhat reflective of his deep interest in electronica at the time, adopting a rounder and more hypnotic approach, but still maintaining his characteristic bubble and bounce. Just check out his line on Scar Tissue, one of the album's big hits.
Close your eyes and I'll kiss you, 'cause with the birds I'll share. With the birds I'll share this lonely view. And with the birds I'll share this lonely view.
The 2000s continued to be kind to the band, with 2002's By the Way and 2006's Stadium Arcadium both releasing to great reviews and big sales. Following relentless touring, Red Hot Chili Peppers announced a hiatus in 2008. And Flea decided to take advantage of the free time and enroll in music courses at USC, studying theory, composition, and jazz trumpet. In 2009, he joined supergroup Atoms for Peace with Radiohead frontman Thom Yorke, and toured throughout the US in 2010, finally releasing an album in 2013. I think some of Flea's absolute coolest, most hypnotic bass lines emerged in this project. This period found Flea becoming involved in all sorts of interesting side projects from Red Hot Chili Peppers, including Rocket Juice and the Moon with Afrobeat drum legend, the sadly recently deceased Tony Allen, and co-founding the Silver Lake Conservatory of Music with his childhood friend, Tree. He also released his own brand of bass, was deeply involved in a range of charitable concerts and events, and continued being a passionate advocate for mental health awareness, environmental activism, and the hazards of drug addiction. An avid Lakers fan, he became a courtside mainstay, including playing a solo rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner before Kobe Bryant's legendary final game on April 13th, 2016. And while this video is dedicated to Flea's extraordinarily diverse and eclectic music career, I'd be remiss in not mentioning his extensive film and television career. From his debut in 1984's cult classic Suburbia to the just-announced Babylon, co-starring Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, Flea has long been a constant, quirky presence on American screens. His small but essential role as one of the German nihilists in The Big Lebowski alone makes him an acting legend, am I right?
I'm in.
Thanks, McFly. I'll see you at the plant tomorrow. What's the matter? Chicken?
Bass-wise, Flea has always seemed to embrace a particular instrument exclusively for a time, only to move on as his vision evolves. He's probably chiefly associated with the Music Man Stingray, whose bright and scooped sound was a key element in the distinctively aggressive bite with bottom that became his early trademark. And the Fender Jazz Bass, the instrument he's mostly favored since the 2000s. Other instruments that intrepid Flea observers may have witnessed him with over the years include the Music Man Cutlass, Spectre NS2, Wall Mark II, a Stingray 5-string fretless, Alembic Epic, various modulus signature basses, and the Flea bass, his own creation. He's had multiple signature models from various manufacturers, including a longtime relationship with Modulus and his current Fender model. Nowadays, Flea plays one of his 3 Fender custom shop instruments, each offering a J-style body, lame-pored legacy pickup, Aguilar 18-volt OBP1 preamp, and 22-fret graphite-reinforced neck. Flea is not especially well known for effects, but there are some definite moments when you might hear the sound of a Boss ODB3 bass overdrive, Electro-Harmonix Qtron, Dunlop Crybaby bass wah, or Electro-Harmonix Big Muff Pi. And while Flea may have played a lot of different instruments over his long career, one thing has been a constant for decades now: his love and endorsement of Galli and Kruger amps. Chances are, if you're already here, you know and respect Flea. What's not to love? Through a nearly 4-decade career, he has been the gold standard of rock bass, consistently embracing new music, ideas, and influences, not in some misguided quest to stay relevant, but rather to satisfy his insatiable musical curiosity. He's leveraged his massive star power for great causes, is a steadfast proponent of musical education, and one of the instrument's all-time best ambassadors.